for any questions for the panelists, you can either send them directly to me or can send those to everyone. They'll go to all of our panelists and all the attendees will see it. We're going to hold all questions till the end, but please, as we're going along, feel free to include those questions throughout the presentation. So with that, I will turn it over to Kathy Len to take it away.
Thank you, Kristen. And thank you all for attending the Sustainable Cleveland November monthly meeting. As Kristen mentioned, my name is Kathy Len. Traditionally, November is the month that we give thanks, but this year, Thanksgiving will unfortunately not be very traditional. This year, we have all faced some difficult challenges, some related to our homes, work, school, and some challenges related to our physical and mental health. Some of us and some of our friends and neighbors have also struggled this year with food insecurity, which makes this an especially tough time of year. Being food insecure means that there is limited or uncertain access to nutritional and safe foods. There are several organizations in Northeast Ohio to help us, our friends, colleagues, and neighbors out. We're familiar with some of these organizations that provide these food-related resources and services. For instance, the Greater Cleveland Food Bank is the largest hunger relief organization in Northeast Ohio, having served more than 350,000 people in 6 Northeast Ohio counties in 2019. The number of people who now report they are food insecure in Ohio has increased by more than 290,000 individuals since the onset of the pandemic. The food bank operates a community food distribution center that provides food and other groceries each year to more than 1,000 local food pantries, hot meal programs, shelters, mobile pantries, programs for the elderly, and other nonprofit agencies. The food bank also prepares nutritious meals in their food bank kitchen and take hundreds of calls a day in their health center, where they refer callers to local agencies and can sign them up for SNAP and other programs. SNAP being the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. We're also familiar with the Food Network, with the Hunger Network. The Hunger Network has 72 hunger centers across Cuyahoga County that provide emergency food supplies and hot meals. Their food rescue program helps to bridge the gap between hunger and food waste, and they also provide health screenings, nutrition educations, and connect community members to medical providers. For tonight's meeting, we're going to focus on some other organizations doing good work in our neighborhoods related to food resources and services. We're going to hear this evening from these 6 organizations. We've asked each presenter to speak for just a few minutes about the services they provide and also highlight how you can help out. And with that, we're going to start with Food Strong with Sara Continenza.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yep, you're good.
Okay. Thumbs up and everything. I'm so not used to this. So anyway, Food Strong is a nonprofit organization I started in 2018. Our mission is to strengthen and empower communities through fresh local foods. You can see right there, foodstrong.org. You can go to the next one, Kathy. Next slide. Anyway, well, the next slide will show you that we have several major programs that we offer. We do a lot of school and youth garden programs, So before the pandemic hit, we were in schools building on-site gardens with the youth, guiding them through the process of designing, building, constructing, growing, maintaining, and even harvesting and cooking the foods that we grow. Finish, and it's been an amazing experience. When we realized we could no longer be in the schools, we worked with the Coit Road Farmers Market to build a learning farm on site at the urban farm. We have quite a bit of space. We recently acquired a shipping container as well for storage and to build a pavilion off of, so that we can do extended season outdoor in a safe, socially distant atmosphere. And so we're doing, there's the slide. So we're basically doing what we were in schools there, and then we can walk right across the street and even practice selling what we've grown at the market to give students and their families business skills. So that we're trying to take a very holistic approach around foods as wellness. Food is medicine. But sometimes you don't really appreciate it unless you grew it yourself. And that's what I've seen with youth. They didn't want to touch these foods, but then once they got their hands dirty, and they didn't want to get their hands dirty at first. I've never known a generation of youth not to want to get their hands dirty, but we got them used to it, and they've been really enjoying it. And so we had a great time with that. The slide on the very right is one of our first school garden sites. It had just been a grassy, yard. That was cool. We also have the caravan program. Offers different resources, wraparound resources, cooking demonstrations, health screenings, and much more at places like farmers markets, so that we can bring more people in from the community and then get them just, excited about fresh foods, how to cook the foods, buy the foods, even sell the foods, and then also get access to other vital resources as necessary. We're always looking for partners in that program if they want to come out and offer their resources and services or education as well. We also have the Care Storm project. In the top right corner, you'll see my partner Daryl Hoolish with UH. He comes out and does a lot of screenings along with the Case Physician Assistant program. We go to a lot of sites, specifically right now, Salvation Army, East Cleveland. And people get their screenings. We talk about food as medicine. And then we give them coupons to spend at the farmers market so that we can really bring them in and help them practice what we're preaching. So everything we do revolves around fresh food as a way to empower people and get them excited about wellness and, improving conditions in their own communities. And the way you can be involved is, if you're in an organization, you're welcome to join us in our outreach activities. We're always looking for people, come out and let people work with us, partner with us in various ways. We can always use volunteers in our garden program, and we coordinate regular cleanups at the farmers market as well. The farmers market from March till now is very different. We've gotten rid of a lot of different stuff, including weeds, trash, cleaned it inside the out, and we're probably going to be doing some cleanups throughout the winter as well. So if you go to foodstrong.org and go to the bottom, you can subscribe to our newsletter, and that's a way to keep in touch with us so that you can learn about what we're doing. We are always looking for volunteers, and also just help getting the word out about what we do, and getting people that might be interested in sponsoring some of our programming or donating to the cause. That's one commonality is all of us nonprofits will probably say we can use support with. So thank you so much, and I'm going to keep it brief. So thanks again. The last slide, Kathy will show some of the contact information as well and our social media handles. So, and I'm done.
Great. Thank you so much, Sara. Our next speaker.
Thanks, Kathy. You just said that. Okay.
Our next speaker is Lukacsy-Love with the Give Box. And I am going to ask, too, if everyone could turn off their video if they're not speaking. I'm getting some messages about low bandwidth, and that might help. Thank you. Allie?
All right, sure. Thanks so much, Kathy. So my name is Allison, or Allie Lukacsy-Love, and I am the founder of Give Box Cleveland, which is a passion project of mine. It's not a nonprofit. It's something that anyone can contribute to enhance access not only to food, but hygiene products here in Northeast Ohio. So I created GiveBox Cleveland back in 2018 as a response to my experiences as a volunteer with the Greater Cleveland Food Bank. I currently serve as the co-chair of the Young Professionals Council there. So if anyone's also looking for an opportunity to get more involved with the food bank, please contact me as well. But GiveBox Cleveland is part of the National Little Free Pantry movement, which is just like the more commonly known Little Free Libraries. The mission is neighbors helping neighbors by stocking these miniature pantries with non-perishable food, toiletries, books, messages of positivity. During COVID, we've played host to many a mask and other PPE, and also, as you can see in the upper right-hand corner, served to make sure that we could get out the vote. You can go to the next slide, Kathy. While we're waiting, okay, perfect. So I designed the plans for the box. I'm an architect, and while working with a small nonprofit called Kids of the 216, which is run by Steph Buddha, we were able to actually disseminate these into the community really quickly back in 2018 and 19 with youth that work through her organization, again, Kids of the 216. She teaches them carpentry skills, so they were the ones who were actually following these blueprints, constructing the boxes and installing them in the locations where they exist in Cleveland and some of the inner ring suburbs. I've hosted a few donation drives to generate materials to stock the boxes initially once they first go into their location. After that, it's the steward who is really responsible and the sort of the community rallying around it. And at some of these events, as you can see on the right-hand side, we've offered opportunities for the community to paint the boxes. So that's been a really great way to get out the word of like, what is this thing that's sort of kind of invading your community, and how you can participate in it and continue to be good stewards of it yourself. You can go to the next slide, Kathy. And so you can see in the lower right-hand corner, these are the locations that currently exist under the Cleveland GiveBox name. You can find these locations and more details on how to find them under the littlefreepantry.org website. So that first link that's listed up there. So these are listed wherever there are stewards that volunteer to host them, which is everywhere from rec centers. We have one at the Thurgood Marshall Rec Center in the Huff community, at businesses like the Pet Fix, which is in Euclid, Ohio. We also have them at an elementary school and some more residential areas. You can see in the upper left-hand corner that this Little Free Pantry movement is picking up steam, but there are definitely still areas here in Northeast Ohio that need that coverage. So lots of ways to get involved. If you're interested in donating non-perishable food, toiletries, books, you can find one of these locations that's convenient for you, and you can donate 24/7. They're always open. It's of course, that type of system. And if you're interested yourself in hosting a box on your property, give me a shout out. So my email's there. You can also find out some more information and contact me through our Facebook page. And again, thanks so much for having me today, and looking forward to the discussion.
Thank you so much, Allie. Our next speaker is Dan Brown with Rust Belt Riders.
Hello, everybody. Am I audible? Am I in the clear? Cool. So I'm here to tell you about the work that me and my colleagues do. So I'm Dan. I'm one of the founders of Rust Belt Riders. We were started in 2014, and we occupy a really strange space of the food system. We're basically the very last thing that people will do when it comes to food, and ideally the very first thing when it comes to growing your own food. So we work with businesses, organizations, and individuals across Northeast Ohio to provide them with an alternative to landfills for their food waste. We're a team of 10 full-time paid staff and growing. We work with, like I said, a variety of different organizations across town. But what I wanted to tell you all about was the residential services that we've really begun to embrace and expand, particularly in light of COVID. The first is our community drop-off program. So about a year ago, we started a community drop-off program, which allows for individuals to collect their household food scraps and then deposit them to a growing number of conveniently accessible drop-off locations across the region. So we currently have 8 of these locations. We're working with community leaders, community development organizations, block clubs, you name it, to identify where we should expand this drop-off program. The cost is $10 per month to basically eliminate all household food waste. But then for the lazier among us, or perhaps the people more accustomed to things coming to them, we have a home pickup service where we will provide you with a clean composted bag-lined 5-gallon bucket and come to your home once a week, exchanging that full bin for a clean empty bin. And the cost for that service is $30 per month, and you get your first month free. So both of those are programs that we're really excited to see expand. We currently have around 1,000 people that participate in both of those programs. But as we move forward, we're really eager to look forward to making sure that every community has access to divert their household food scraps. We do this, of course, only through the good fortune of having strong partners. So many of our partners are municipalities, nonprofits. A lot of the people on this call, my fellow panelists, I count as partners and advisors and people that I really look to and admire. But the other fun thing that we are doing now is we collect all this food waste, and of course we have to do something with it. And so we compost all of this material ourselves. We pick up around 275,000 pounds of food scraps a month. All of that is composted by our team in Independence, Ohio, at the Kurtz Brothers composting facility, which we now operate. All of that soil is in turn changed into potting soils and soil blends that we make and sell under the brand Tilth Soil. So whether you need a soil blend for seed starting mix or a raised bed fill or even your favorite house plants, we've got a blend for you. And so, yeah, so in terms of the help and support we need right now, we want to continue to get the word out about our residential services, which you can learn about by visiting rustbeltriders.com. And then if you're trying to put your garden to bed or prepare for the coming growing season, you can either place a pre-order of soil from us today or order some soil for right now from us by visiting tilthsoil.com. We're really excited about the work that we're doing. We do it only because of the grace and goodwill of our partners, and couldn't be more thankful for them in our lives. So if you have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out. I can be reached at daniel@rustbeltriders.com. And then you can also follow us on Instagram at rustbeltriders. Thanks. I think that's it for me.
Thank you, Dan. Our next speaker is Patrick Kearns with Refugee Response.
All right, that's great. Thank you, Kathy, for the introduction. And full disclosure, we are one of the consumers of the soil from Rust Belt Riders and Tilth. We use that on the Ohio City farm and absolutely love it, and have been working with those guys for a long time. And that really is something special about, different, the city of Cleveland and how we all cooperate together here. So I'm with the Refugee Response, and the picture you're seeing right here is the Ohio City Farm. So our organization operates the Ohio City Farm. We operate 7 different programs right now. We have 30 staff, including 9 farm staff that work with us. And all of the clients that we serve on an annual basis are newly arrived refugees to the greater Cleveland area. So on a typical year, we have people that are coming from about 10 to 12 different countries and nationalities, including a wide variety of languages. And we provide direct support to around 225 individual clients per year. Now that's broken down among our education programs. We have programs for youth, we have programs for teenagers, and we have a very close partnership with CMSD. And in a typical year, we operate some of our programs inside of the schools. That's all moved to online support. And a recent feature we've just instituted is a learning lab. So we actually started first night tonight. We have a van going around picking up kids and families and bringing them to a hygienic facility where they can get direct hands-on learning support with some of our volunteers and staff. So we're very excited about that development. Other than that, we do employment. So we work with about 50 individuals a year to get placed into jobs and provide the different types of services that are needed for newly arriving folks to acquire good jobs. What I want to talk a little bit more about is our project with the Ohio City Farm that you can see here in this picture, located right in the near west side. So we've been around since 2010, close to a 6-acre urban farm, and we operate this as a social enterprise underneath our nonprofit organization, meaning we sell the products and the sales volume then generates our ability to hire our farm team. And we sell our products through a couple different ways. We have a large community-supported agriculture program that accommodates close to 300 memberships on an annual basis. And that's really one of the economic drivers of the farm, is selling those memberships. Just a quick note, those will go on sale in about 2 weeks from now. They typically sell out pretty fast. So if you're interested in our CSA program, which is a 20-week program, and you'll get about 60 different kinds of produce over the course of the year, look out for that. We're also going to do a season extension next year. That's going to go into the beginning of wintertime with some of our crops because we do have 13 hoop houses and one fully operational greenhouse on the Ohio City Farm. We sell to restaurants. We operate a farm stand on the weekends. And that allows us to really hire our farm team and put the input and infrastructure into that program on an annual basis. Kathy, if you could give me the next slide, I'll kind of transition on to a little bit about COVID. So we work with a large number of people here, and a lot of our folks are, they're newly arriving, they're starting off in positions, and we saw a lot of people lose their jobs around March, April. So a couple of things we did is, we tried to immediately place people into different jobs, but then we also identified a large number of women in the community from the clients we serve who are outstanding seamstresses and we're looking for some additional income. We launched a program creating face masks that we sold online through a retail provider, and that's transitioned now into we are releasing a line of kitchen products through our Afghan Women's Sewing Collaborative. So that's going to come out very soon. So we're producing aprons, we're producing scarves, and a couple other home goods as well. So keep an eye out for that. You can follow us on refugeeresponse.org. That's all our social media handles as well. We provide updates there. And, I think the underlying COVID really impacted a lot of what we do. So we have made that pivot to doing a lot of online and remote support. And we're hopeful that we can get through this winter time, and then we'll be ready to again start producing on the Ohio City Farm at the beginning of next year. So thanks for having me here, and great to see some of these panelists who I'm very familiar with. Oh, and the last photo, sorry. And this is, this year we did a lot of wide-scale food distribution to several hundred families. We distributed, I think, close to 50,000 meals for over a period of time, and that was really partnering with leaders from the local refugee communities that are in Cleveland, Ohio. So thank you, Kathy, for the time, and looking forward to the rest of the conversation.
Great. Thank you, Patrick. It looks like Marc White has just joined us with Riddle Green Partnership. Marc, are you there?
Yes, I am. Hey, Kathy, some serious technical difficulty here, but yes, I am here. Thank you.
Okay, so I've got your slide up. Go for it.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Marc White from Riddle Green Partnership. We are an urban farm here in the city of Cleveland that initially started out on a 1.3 acre piece of land in the Kinsman neighborhood. We actually developed a way in which to grow in hoop houses, to create compost, to grow fish in aquaponics type of situation. We offer training for youth and veterans. Everyone from 8 to 80 is able to come and enjoy the things that we do there at Ridolph. One of our biggest, I would say, interfacing elements is the food that we make. Again, besides growing the food, we also are able to create some interesting and delicious treats. We do things like from the perspective of a soul vegan platform. So we use and convert traditional soul food and into vegan fare, and you wouldn't really even know that you weren't eating what you thought you were. So that's definitely an element. There are several things that we operate in the city to do. Actually, February 1st, 2021 will be our 10th year or 10-year anniversary of being present on our site, 8129 Outer Road in Cleveland, Ohio. Okay, so again, looking at agriculture from the perspective of demonstrating more than just growing vegetables, but growing relationships and growing solutions and ways in which to repair and create variety of things within our cities. Okay, that's definitely more or less our motto. We transform. You know, how would you say, blighted communities into viable green spaces. Part of our objectives is to transform and to change many of our urban core communities into thriving, self-sustainable, regenerative communities, and not just regenerative in terms of how you say life practices, but also regenerative in terms of agricultural perspective. So saying that to say that we use our techniques on our farm to actually regenerate and remediate the soil in our area. Most of our urban environments have soil is, again, because of a lot of the practices that we've had in the cities for years heretofore. The way that we destroy our houses or demolish them, we used to just take and dig a hole in the ground and dump everything in the ground. And so that created, after years of doing so, it created, how would you say, is just chock full of lead, arsenic, varieties of heavy metals, you name it. It's present in Cleveland soils. So a major part of what we do through our composting efforts is to remediate and regenerate the content of the soil that's in our immediate and the surrounding footprint. Okay, so that's very, very huge and very important. And lastly, within that context, we create, how do you say, eco-based solutions for climate change, creating ways in which to draw down carbon through natural solutions. Many of the things that we do and begin to employ and apply are models that are being used around the country to begin to demonstrate this drawdown initiative. So here in Cleveland on our site, we are producing and about to be producing in 2021 tons of biochar. The biochar for use on our own site, in our own products, and for sale, and for how would you say, for the education of the community and the application of in various forms around our city to be used in ways to help us with our lack of carbon. Okay, so again, in a nutshell, I know I wanted to stick within a few minutes, and I hope I haven't been too lengthy or too wordy, but thank you, Kathy, for the opportunity. And I'm available for any questions or comments later on. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Marc. Our next speaker is Sara O'Keefe with MetroHealth.
Hi, it's going to take a second. Thank you, everybody, for having me. And I feel very thankful. I have some thank yous on the back wall. I don't know if you can see, but I feel very thankful to be on this panel. Lots of fabulous people that I'm lucky to be able to either work with or be around all the time. It's great. I'm just going to focus on a couple of hospital-specific food programs, because that is, I'm the sustainability director for MetroHealth, for those of you who don't know me on the call or in the audience. And we have some very specific programs where we're looking to partner with organizations like those that are on the panel now, and of course the Greater Cleveland Food Bank, to leverage community organizations in a way where we look at the social determinants of health and the medical side of things, but connect our patients that need it to the resources that you all just heard about and you already know about from the Cleveland Food Bank. So the really specific program that I want to talk about today is Food is Medicine program. There are some numbers up here that you can see how many in 2020, how many families we have served. I'll explain what that program is. And then I'm going to talk about the Institute for Hope program through Perfectly Imperfect Produce and a couple of other things. Our Food is Medicine program is basically a screen. We screen for food insecurity and other chronic illnesses related to foods like diabetes and hypertension. Those patients are then referred to our Food is Medicine program, where they are offered access to a on-site food clinic. They can shop like it's a grocery store, and it has produce and healthy, low sodium, low sugar options to purchase and take home. And then what happens is the families can shop there about 2 to 3 days each month, and they can come back, and there are recipes. There's also a nutritionist on site that offers advice and how to follow programs that will directly impact that person's health, their chronic illness like diabetes. And then what happens is that they can come back and they see their doctor or their certified nurse practitioner, and they talk about improvements in their health. This is an important program because while in the past MetroHealth has worked on distributing produce, and we still do those programs and we distribute food, what was missing is the connection back to the health of the individual themselves, and that really the proof in the pudding, so to speak. We all know that it's great to have produce. It's healthy, especially local produce grown in a circular economy where we compost, right? Everything that Marc just talked about, especially thinking about climate change, those are all very important things. But this gets to the nitty-gritty of healthcare, where we are actually offering a service to a patient, and we can track the impact to their health. That's why this Food is Medicine program is really important. Today, we have 98 families served this year. This opened in 2018, so it's just our second year. This used to be just for inpatients. We're now also serving some outpatients. Our website there is www.metrohealth.org. You will find just the ribbon cutting on this program on our website, because it does go through the actual primary care provider. If you go to your doctor's office and they do a screening, and you get referred to this program. So that's a very medical program that we have. But as I said, we have lots of different partners. Our other programs around food are the Institute for Hope. This is a social determinants of health institute that reaches out into the community, especially to work on things like food security, transportation, social cohesion. We distributed 7,000 pounds of fresh produce monthly to patients with our partner in the Cleveland Food Bank. We also, during COVID-19, have emergency food and supplies distributed to vulnerable populations. We have a garden pilot in our cancer care hope and healing garden, where there's going to be a picture on the next slide. A very passionate person got in there and started growing herbs. It's a rooftop garden. It is a learning garden, but it is also a pilot garden for proof that we can do on a rooftop garden, so to speak. And then we have a partnership with Perfectly Imperfect Produce for employees to purchase produce at 5 different locations throughout our system. We also, in our retail cafe menu, I think it's important that in our operations, we adopt these things as well. So we have vegan and vegetarian options now, both in our inpatient menu and in our retail cafe. As far as how you can help, we love volunteers, but right now is not a good time to volunteer at a hospital. We have that on hold. MetroHealth Foundation is a place where obviously monetary help is always wanted and desired, and you can pick where you want your money to go. But supporting the Greater Cleveland Food Bank is a great option. They're a huge partner for us. And Kathy, if you don't mind going to the next slide, here are some slightly more interesting visuals for you. That's our rooftop garden on the left and our cancer pavilion in the middle. That's from our cafeteria. I tweet, if anybody looks at them, I tweet about our cafeteria all the time because I'm proud of them taking steps. They sell reusable flatware now. That's great. And that's a Perfectly Imperfect Produce doing a farm stand for our employees last year. I also want to mention that we do zero waste events with Rust Belt Riders, not this year, but last year we definitely did. And we're looking to partner or have partnered already with Rid-All. A lot of our leadership has visited Marc and his peers at Rid-All Green Partnership and looking at our partnership with Lincoln West School of Science and Health and getting the curriculum into our programs there. So I'll stop.
Awesome.
Thank you, Sara. And I want to thank all of our speakers for sharing their amazing work helping our neighbors and our communities. I was going to turn it over to Kristen to see if we had any questions.
We have only received one question so far or at least I have only received one question so far for Dan about if the residential collection program was for only Cleveland or Cuyahoga County, if it's possible to request service for an entire apartment complex. And Dan's response was generally Cuyahoga County is their service area, but he included his email, and I'm going to copy that again in the chat. And for everyone, if you are interested, reach out to Dan and get in touch with him. Here is a great question. This one is for Marc White. Marc, can you tell us what is biochar? That was actually a question I was going to ask as well.
Okay, very good, very good. So biochar is essentially, and again, I'm going to take a lot of science out of this, but it's essentially a way to take huge amounts of biomass, and if just for clarity, biomass is discarded cellulose material, or how would you say, plant waste, trees, carbon sources, right? And taking them and actually putting them in a unit that heats them up and in a manner that removes the oxygen, right? And so it's not actually a fire that burns it up. It's actually kind of baked all the way through, where it's pure carbon. And saying that to say that so we can take a lot of waste that we usually discard or use in various ways to create, how would you say, a lot of extra and toxic waste around our cities. We can take this and convert this now into a usable, transferable, and storable energy source. Okay, so for instance, wood, like wood chips, or small how would you say, balls or beads of wood, it can actually be, storable. It can be actually created or put through the biochar unit and then stored and used later on in applications, in many ways. So it helps to fortify the soil for growing the nutritional element, so much so that when it comes to tree nurseries, there's been experimentation using biochar, that the utilization of biochar with the native soil and the potting soil mix that's put into the ground with the tree and the root ball, that if biochar is used, it can help to speed up the growth and development of the tree by 30%. Okay, so that's very, very huge when it comes to trying to replenish and refortify our extended outer environment, or how do you say, our ecology with trees. And so this is just one element, or one way in which we can use the biochar. The biochar is huge. It's really on the cutting edge of being used to, or being looked upon to do some great things in the future. Okay, so we're bringing it to Cleveland, and again, this is just a rough paraphrase of what we're talking about. However, at the same time, we will have some very thorough presentations on what we'll be using it for, and how we'll be making it available to the citizens and our partners here in Cleveland.
Thank you so much, Marc. That was such a helpful explanation of biochar. I know I had to ask Brett Kincaron from the city of Boulder, Colorado, a couple times to help walk me through it, just to kind of wrap my head around sort of the benefits of it. But it's such a great way to capture organic waste, and for us to also sequester a lot of carbon, which is going to be essential as we move forward.
Yes, it is. Thank you, Kristen.
Yes. So we've got another question. Beyond the CSA, Marie is not familiar with refugee response. Do they offer language learning partners for refugees? Any ways that community members can still get involved during the pandemic or help? And then Patrick, because you're talking, I have one follow-up question. Will those kitchen items be available in time for Christmas? Because I think that would be a great Christmas present.
Yes, they will be. They're gonna roll out. I think they're gonna roll out on Monday. So we do a lot of stuff through our Instagram page. So you can look for us there, Refugee Response, or just Ohio City Farm. If you just type in either of those names to Google, we're gonna show up. We're also going to be rolling out a spice collection from the Ohio City Farm, probably this first week of December as well. So just keep an eye out for that for Christmas gifts. Would love to sell these guys a bunch of them. As far as getting involved, we work with hundreds of volunteers on an annual basis. We connect our kids one-to-one with mentors. Typically, we've done an in-home program. But for obvious reasons, that's been suspended for a while. So we have connected through an online platform that is a monitored, structured platform that our staff are always on during the times that volunteers are engaging with the kids to provide technical support and guidance, as well as training on that capacity. We are recruiting for a limited number of in-person learning lab volunteers so that can be on site with us. So as we bring students in and they're, in socially distant locations, that they can get some direct support. Right now, we're focused on the accessibility component. A lot of our families are still struggling to get online with the new software that the schools are using. So that's something we're tackling right now as we speak. But again, lots of opportunities for volunteers. We have a newly launched and newly designed platform on our website that you can go to at refugeeresponse.org that will take you all the way through what it means to be a volunteer with us, through the orientation process. It's all an online application, and then we do an online introduction training as well. That's all web-based, and then we arrange a first interview with a volunteer. So we are recruiting for that, and would be happy to hear from anybody. So you can also just email me directly if you have any questions as well.
Great. Thank you so much, Patrick. I am not seeing too many other questions. I guess I have one for you, Allie. I am interested in helping support the give boxes. I notice a lot of them are on the east side. Are there ways that folks can maybe just provide monetary donations? And would that just happen through your Facebook page?
Yeah, great question. So yes, they are all on the east side. We have a few in the works on the west side that I hope will be 2021 projects. I'm sure everyone can empathize with the setbacks that COVID-19 has caused for many types of these programs. And the partner organization I mentioned, the nonprofit Kids the 216, has actually suspended some of their operations, including building these for 2020. So I would say if you wanted to make a monetary contribution, maybe hold that thought until they're back up. These boxes are really inexpensive to build. They only cost $150 about in material cost. So, if you wanted to keep that in mind for the future when when the kids are back building them. But, you could look at any of those locations and find one now and donate whatever non-perishable goods or toiletries you have in your home. That would be fantastic. I have received a few private chats during this webinar, which is fantastic, and I'll be sending out some emails because it's really just something that anyone can participate in. I know there's a lot of stuff going around on social media about bagging up things and taking them to your local food pantry. That's great if you have one that you know of, but if you don't and you're looking for a place, these little free pantries are great. And there's really also nothing restricting any existing little free library. So if you're on the west side and you're aware of a little free library location, there's nothing restricting anyone from also putting in some toiletries or non-perishable foods in those boxes along with the books too.
Okay, excellent. I know of two in my neighborhood, Little Free Library, so I may make some pop there. Kelly, I do have a question for you, and just a reminder for all of our attendees, please put any of your questions in the chat box if you have them. So Allie, your question is, how easy or difficult was it to get permits if the gift boxes were in the right of way?
Yeah, sure. So the vast majority, so I was like all but one of those were on private properties, right? So when it was working with the City of Cleveland's Recreation Department, it was the council person there and some other members related to the city, schools, it was their school board, basically giving that permission. There's only one where it's actually located in the right of way. And that was worked out with the adjacent business owner who agreed to be the steward, sort of maintaining the box itself, as well as making sure that it was full. And that was worked out with the local municipality, which is Euclid. So for the most part, and this is the same thing with little free libraries, it's always recommended to put it on a private property that can be accessed by the right of way, right? So if it's in a location, for instance, there's one that the box itself happens to be on private residential property, but the way the box faces, it's easily accessible from that public sidewalk, which just happens to be at an RTA stop as well. So, those, we're always trying to sort of match up those opportunities, and is also highly visible. There's a street light right there. So, visibility 24/7 is key. So, yeah, if you want to talk with me about implementing something and have some questions on the permits, I'd be happy to talk with whoever is asking that question.
Awesome. All right, don't go anywhere, Allie. What types of items are most wanted for the give boxes, and any items that don't get picked up or aren't typically of interest? And then I guess I'd follow up with, what do you do with those items that maybe haven't been picked up?
Unfortunately, some of the boxes are sometimes empty. So there's, glass half full, glass empty perspective on that, of like everything that gets put in the box gets taken. I always think too that if someone's going through and, maybe taking 5, 6, or 10 items, it's because they need all 5, 6, or 10 of those items. The things that we encourage people to put in there are very much in line with what the food bank, and I'm sure colleagues on this call would recommend, those types of non-perishable foods that also have a lot of nutrition and protein to them. So beans, peanut butter is really popular, anything that generally cost more than $1 or so at the store, right? Because those are the items that are just harder to access for a lot of people. Canned tuna is something that's really popular, and there's always, seasonality to some of this stuff too. A lot of our stewards, of course, stacked Halloween candy that is not like, it's sort of non-perishable, but of course, those went like by noon on November 1st. So not really too much of a concern. We have had some, like the Euclid location's actually really popular for foot traffic. Things don't live in that box for all that long. So I have seen like bags of bread, which I would kind of discourage from putting in there, bags of apples as well. But those seem in that particular location to not stay in the box for all that long. So it just sort of depends. Toiletries, feminine products are always in really high demand. Deodorant, everyone, for the most part goes to the dentist and you get that little bag of a toothbrush and a little toothpaste, like toilet. When we all were traveling, I'd always tell people to kind of like take what's at the hotel and think about giving them to the boxes, because all those little shampoos are always helpful as well. So just really, I'm sure whatever you choose to donate is going to go to good use.
Excellent. Thank you so much. The last question before we wrap up is for Patrick, asking where the refugee response masks are available for sale. And if you don't have that ready yet, please feel free to send it to us. And when we send our follow-ups, we'll make sure to include that, or just plug it in the chat here.
Absolutely. So we work with Butter Pear, and I'll drop the, it's a local online retailer and physical retailer that started with producing and repping like African textiles and products, super cool local outfit. And we do all our product sales with them. So it's just butterpear.com.
All right. Excellent. Thank you. Let's see. We got one more question in, and since we have a couple more minutes, I'm going to squeeze it in there. Dan, is mid-December too late to put composting to bed for the winter?
No, it's not too late. In fact, the more compost that you can apply before winter hits and before snow is on the ground, the happier your garden will be for the coming growing season. So most people buy their soil in the spring, which is very logical. But actually, if you can introduce that microbial and fungal life before the snow hits, it'll get to work reproducing and improving the quality and fertility of your soil over the winter.
Thanks, Dan. You just made a lot of yard work for me. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. Give us a call.
All right. Well, with that, I'm going to go ahead and close questions and wrap this up. To our panelists, please feel free to bring your videos back on if you want for just a final farewell. Kathy, I will turn it over to you for any wrap up. And again, just thank you all for joining us.
Hi, I'd just like to end by saying thank you to all of you for joining us this evening. And of course, a very special thanks to all our presenters for sharing their programs with us tonight and for all that you do. And I want to just wish everyone a safe and healthy holiday.